Hey, I wanted to make a quick video just talking about prophesying. I'm not actually prophesying in this video, so if that's what you expected, I'm sorry. No, I actually wanted to talk about being careful that we don't prophesy out of our flesh, because I feel like this happens a lot. So, sorry, I got my gum. I'm talking to the spirit-filled believers here who prophesy. There's actually a passage of scripture that I want to talk about, which is Ezekiel 13. I don't have my Bible on me. I almost always use my phone. But in Ezekiel 13, God tells Ezekiel to prophesy against those who prophesy from their imaginations. And later on, he's still talking about this, and he says, for they have told lies about the righteous, and they have basically given false prophecies that are negative towards those who are righteous, and then given really good prophecies to the wicked. Okay, so why bring that up? I think we've all, if you've been in a spirit-filled church or a charismatic church or a full gospel church, whatever, word of faith, that you've probably received a prophecy that was not true, or something has happened to you that made you feel like somebody thought they were perceiving something spiritually about you that was not true. Maybe it appeared true in their flesh. And I know how easy that is. I recognize that. You know, you could see somebody wearing a biker jacket and want to go prophesy that God's going to give them a new motorcycle or something like that. You could see somebody that looks a little scary and go pray that God softens their heart. You know what I mean? You can see something with your natural eyes and want to say something that sounds prophetic, sounds spiritual, but really what you end up doing is prophesying out of your flesh, prophesying out of your own imagination. You did not get that word from the Lord necessarily. You got that because you felt a certain way about somebody. You see what I mean? And that can happen so easily, guys, so easily. And so I do absolutely have grace for when people are practicing the prophetic, when they thought they had a word and it wasn't. It's always good to be like, was that accurate for you? And if they say no, just graciously be like, I'm so sorry, I'm still learning to hear the Lord. But I just wanted to put out a warning to be careful, because it's one thing whenever you get it wrong and what you were saying was the Lord wants to take you deeper in Him, and He wants you to, He's calling you to walk on the water and, just run to Him, something like that, versus something that could really bring condemnation on somebody or that they could see as an attack on their character. Speaking for myself, I am very strong in the Lord. Like, I know who I am in Him, and I know my own heart in many ways. Of course, there are things that God knows about me that I don't even know about myself. We're all that way. But in the past, I've gotten a word that I was having marriage problems, and I was at the best possible place I had ever been in my marriage. And I've gotten a word before that I had a lustful spirit, and I was as far from that place as I had ever been in my entire life, barring childhood. I have gotten words that you're in unforgiveness and bitterness. And it's like, no, I can't think of one single person that I am not just completely in love with, that I would die for. Like, you search your heart and you're like, no, that just doesn't make sense. Like, Lord. And the danger is, if you prophesy things like that to people who don't know their heart very well or have struggled with those things in the past, which I will readily admit that all of those issues have been things I struggled with in the past. But I also recognize the enemy would love to take something from the past, put it in your face in the future, right now, and say, hey, remember that part of you? Do you think that's still there? You know what I mean? And so he uses the same old tricks. And I'm not saying that people are like prophesying for the devil or anything like that. He's sneaky. He'll whisper things. And sometimes we just get confused. And um, I just wanted to say be careful, because some people could hear those things and instantly, boom, they're out of the spirit. They're questioning everything they've ever known. Is there something wrong with me? Am I wicked, God? Please, am I wicked? And, you know, it's just, like I said, you just have to be careful. Read Ezekiel 13. It's talking about false prophets. So I don't want to say that applies to everyone who's ever given you a word that didn't ring true. But it just serves as I like to read the Old Testament, especially the prophets, because it gives you lines and boundaries. And it's just a really good teaching on how prophecy works, versus there's not as much in the New Testament that gives you kind of an idea of what the prophetic actually looks like. And so beyond that, say somebody has given you a word that was not true. Maybe it hurt you, maybe it didn't. I just wanted to bring up Romans 14:1 that says to not get into arguments with people, and to just have grace for those brothers and sisters who maybe have weaker faith, or maybe they don't even have weaker faith. They just made a mistake, you know? And so if somebody gives you a bad word or a word that's not true, we don't need to vilify them, or that may actually confirm what word they were trying to give you. There's a couple different ways you could respond. You could respond by saying, that doesn't actually ring true in my heart, but thank you, I will pray about that. You could say, you could just say thank you and let them move on. Like I said, you just don't need to argue over who's right and who's wrong, because whenever you start to argue, a lot of times you're instantly put in the wrong place, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. You just instantly put yourself in the place of, the bad guy. Because, yes, you could use it as a teaching moment, but it's better to just know in your heart who you are and who God has called you to be, and let that go. So if you've been hurt by a prophetic word that didn't come to pass, by a prophetic word that was just completely wrong and brought you into condemnation, or almost brought you into condemnation, the best thing to do is just release that person, forgive them, just be like, God, I bless them for trying, and I just pray that, Lord, that you would give them clarity in the prophetic, and continue to train them up, Lord, because I'm so proud that they even had the guts to step out and give me that word. It's just a better thing to do that. So yeah, I just want to make the video for two purposes. One, to just be careful when you're prophesying over people. You could really hurt them if you're not sure it's the Lord. And two, that if somebody has given you a word that was wrong, please don't let it condemn you. Please don't suddenly believe that you're a horrible human being. Just forgive them and let it go, and let the fruit of your life shine. And yeah, that's it. Love you guys.